Give an example. When you say he was running from you, I mean, specify. How long have you been asking for this fight, and what would make you believe that he was running from you?
I've been asking this fight since I was 17, 18 years old. They got videos of me calling him out. I guess he always wanted to take a little easier route here. All I got to say is all that doesn't matter now. The fight's happening. I'm going to whoop him.
How did you ultimately? How did you? Well, I'm getting ready to get to that, but how did you ultimately?
Ooh, I know you see it. I know you see it. After all that talking, all the years of chirping back and forth, Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis are set to face off next year, 2023. Before I get into it, like, subscribe, click the notification bell, you know the rest, blah, 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 blah. And let's go ahead and get into this, man. Recently, Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis agreed on a deal to fight in 2023. Word on the streets that they'll be fighting in, hopefully, April of 2023 in a showdown that we've been waiting to see for years, man. There is no love lost between these two. That's pretty apparent. So they're going to be fighting in April, and then in the meantime, they're both going to have an interim fight leading up to that big showdown. So this showdown is supposed to be at a catch weight of 136. As you know, Tank Davis is champion at 135. He recently came back down to 135 after beating Mario Barrios 2 divisions above this at super lightweight, I think. Well, I know he went up 2 weight classes to go and beat Barrios, so that was a very good victory for him. Then he came on back down, and he's just been doing his thing. And then Ryan Garcia, he was inactive as of recent, the past couple of years, and he's just now getting his name back into the spotlight because he went out 2-3 years ago, and that was at a time when him, Devin Haney, Tank Davis were the names that were being talked about at 130 and 135. And then he comes back and everything's changed. All of a sudden, Gervonta Davis is going up and beat Barrios for another belt in another weight class. Then he's champion at 135. Devin Haney, all of a sudden, he's undisputed at 135 after having no belts. So a lot has changed since Ryan Garcia left. But this matchup, man, I'm very intrigued about it. So let's go ahead and look at how these guys match up. And you look at Ryan Garcia. All right, he's coming in 23-0, 19 knockouts, really getting guys up out of there. 24 years old. He stands at 5'10", and he has a 70-inch reach. So he's tall dude, lanky, got a nice jab, and he come with that hook. He'll bring that hook, man. He'll bring that left hook. He come with it. And then you have Tank Davis, 28 years old. He is 27-0 with 25 knockouts. Again, very high KO percentage. He's only 5'5.5", and he has a reach of 67.5. But he uses it very well. He's very explosive. He's very patient. He likes to get in and out. And once he gets into close range, he has a couple of tricks in the bag to try to knock your head into the third row. So let's go ahead and look at some of the guys they face as of recent and where the competition stacks up. So you look at Ryan Garcia, his last 6 fights, he's fought Javier Fortuna in July of this year, July 16th. Javier Fortuna, he got the knockout stoppage win in the 6th round. He knocked him down in round 4, 5, and then 6 was when he got counted out. Fortuna, very tough fighter, but he's near the tail end, man. I mean, it didn't look like he had a lot left from when I was watching. Like, the instincts were there. Like, you could see the flashes of the fighter he used to be, but his body would just not follow his mind. And it was what it was. But Ryan Garcia stopped him in the fashion that we expected him to and that he needed to really put his name in the discussion of a serious contender. And then he beat Emmanuel Tagoe before that in April of that year. And then before that, that's when he had the long layoff. The Tagoe fight was almost over a year after his last fight, which was against Luke Campbell. You have a year layoff since your last fight against Luke Campbell. And then before that, you had another year layoff from your last fight with Francisco Fonseca in 2020, right before lockdown started. So, and before that, you had Romero Duno. Okay, that's That's cool. And then you had Jose Lopez before that. That's cool, but it's no real big high caliber names on his resume. We know he has the skill. We know he has the talent, but I haven't seen him in the ring with sharp enough opponents for me to be able to compare what he's been doing to what Tank's been doing. And you look at Tank's last 6 fights, he's fought, let's start from July 27th of 2019, Ricardo Nunez, and then in December of 2019, Yorkis Gamboa, faded Gamboa, so I don't really count that one. Leo Santa Cruz in 2020, after the lockdown and things started to kind of, they weren't opening up, but they were allowing box matches. So that was on Halloween of 2020. He had the big knockout, and that was the uppercut against Leo Santa Cruz in that corner. Santa Cruz, really good fighter, but I don't think he had ever been that heavy before, and there's levels to this, all right? Santa Cruz was doing well to that point. I think he was probably winning the fight too. So still props to Tank for being a very, very game fighter in Leo Santa Cruz. And then in June 26th of 2021, next year, he beat Mario Barrios by stoppage, TKO stoppage in the 11th round of their fight. He went up 2 weight classes to go fight Mario Barrios, who was not a great fighter, but pretty solid. And so that's very impressive. I liked what he did there. And note, as he's going through these different fights, he's getting experience against all these different style of fighters, even if they're not necessarily in their prime or if they're not the creme de la creme. Those are guys that are crafty and or they have the belt for a reason. Even if they aren't the best, they're still very good fighters, like Mario Barrios. And then the fight after the Barrios fight was Isaac Cruz in December of last year, and that was a really, really good fight, I think, for Tank. One of the most important fights in his career to this date, because it's only one of 2 fights where he did not stop his opponent, and it was a very close fight too, against a very tough opponent, and I think that really sharpened his mettle. And then his last fight, which was May 28th of this year against Rolly Romero, where he had the knockout, big time knockout, the stoppage, the big punch that sent Rolly into the ropes in the 6th round. I think it was the 6th round, something like that. So that was, look, Rolly Romero, very, very fast. He's young. He has really good power, but he stands up straight, doesn't keep his chin tucked, doesn't have good defense, and you can see the lack of experience. He's only been boxing for the past 7 years, maybe even less than that. I mean, he started as a mixed martial artist, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see some of the good and bad tendencies that he's brought over from outside of boxing, and it showed up in that fight. It's just really an experience thing. I would like to see Rolly in the future, but he was too green at that point to face a Gervonta Davis, who is not the wild card that he was 5 years ago, who was just all power and not a lot of substance and technical ability in terms of how he would set up a guy in a fight. Now he set him up, boom, got him out of there. So I think he took a lot from that Isaac Cruz fight and he brought it into that Romero fight, and he looked very, really good against a guy he should have beat, and he did what he was supposed to do. So overall, I think that Gervonta Davis has had the better competition in his last 6 fights. And I think that's going to play a big part going into this fight with Ryan Garcia, because that makes Ryan Garcia a wild card to me. It really does. However, the skill is there, okay? So going into this April fight, you have a fight in January that Tank's going to have against Hector Luis Garcia, who's coming up from 130 pounds. He's a champion there. He's coming up to fight Gervonta Davis. I think that the jump in weight, I think that's going to be an issue. I think it is. I haven't really done a breakdown of each fighter, but I just off the rip, just on surface level, I think the weight's going to be an issue for Garcia. And I think Gervonta, unless I see differently when I do my film breakdown, I would have to give the edge to Davis, because he's fought the stiffer competition and he's going to be the bigger guy. I mean, he's naturally a big guy at 135. He could fight at 140. That's why he was able to go up to fight Mario Barrios, in my opinion, because I think he walks around at a naturally bigger weight. It's no secret that Tank has had issues making weight for his fights at 135 and 130. So it's kind of the same thing as what I mentioned a lot with Canelo. He's a naturally bigger guy, so it's no surprise he could go up and fight and be comfortable at that weight against a guy like Barrios or whoever. So I think that's going to be a big advantage for him in this fight coming up. So we look at the styles here, and Tank Davis, offense is explosive, very, very good punching power in both hands. He has a wicked uppercut. Defense, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's not great either. He gets hit more than I would like. And he got hit a lot against Jose Pedraza, who he knocked out in that fight. But Pedraza was getting a lot of clean shots on Tank Davis. And if that's Ryan Garcia landing those shots, you're not going to take them the same way as you were against Pedraza. Obviously, I think Tank knows that he has to tighten up on the defense against Ryan Garcia. But if Pedraza can hit you like that, it could be issues. Okay? And we saw he had issues against an Isaac Cruz who is awkward. He's an awkward boxer. Those punches from odd angles, and I think that's why it was such a tough fight for Tank. And then you look at Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is the taller guy. He has about a 5-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage on Tank Davis, or 2.5-inch reach advantage on Tank Davis. And he uses his jab, and he has a very, very, very good left hook, and he'll throw that straight right down the middle from time to time and catch you sleeping if you're not paying attention. So I think this stylistically is a very, very good fight, because I think both of them are going to test each other in unique ways that they haven't had to face in the past. Tank is going to have to get on the inside. He cannot stay on the end of Ryan Garcia's punches, or it's going to be a very short night for Tank Davis. And then conversely, Ryan Garcia, we have seen that he gets a little lazy keeping his hand up. He does. He get a little lazy keeping that right hand up and keeping that chin tucked, and he got caught. I forgot what fight it was. He got back up and ended up knocking the dude out eventually. But if you get caught like that against Tank Davis, you might not get back up, brother. You might not get back up. So on his side, his defense also is okay, but both of their defenses leave more to be desired. So that's why it's such a toss-up for me, because I think Tank has more power than Ryan Garcia. However, Ryan Garcia still has stopping power. And Tank cannot be lazy on defense, or he will be waking up wondering what happened. So that's why this fight's so intriguing. And then on top of that, obviously there's a lot of bad blood. They've talked a lot of shit over the years, and the same as Garcia and Haney have, and Haney and probably Tank. Like, they all have a rivalry that's simmering under the surface, similar to the way the Four Kings did back in the day with Leonard and Hearns and Hagler and Duran and whatnot. So I'm just really looking forward to this. We're getting a fight with two guys in their primes, young guys in their prime. I mean, Tank's he only, I said 28. He 28, and Ryan Garcia is 24. Man, like, they are at their peak powers, man. And honestly, they're even going to get better. I mean, I'd say some of these fighters, at least nowadays, up until you hit 32, 33, 34, like, you're still at the height of your powers. I mean, we saw it with Triple G and Manny Pacquiao. I mean, we're seeing it with Canelo and whatnot. So this is the right fight at the right time. A great way to kick off the new year in 2023. I'm looking forward to the fight. Let me know what you guys think. I'll do a breakdown video coming up in the future, going through their strengths, their weaknesses, what they do well. I'll probably do some film breakdown on some of the things that are unique to each fighter, and then some things that are going to be key for them to bring into the fight and really harp upon as they prepare for this I'm gonna call it a heavyweight, lightweight showdown, man. It's a lightweight showdown, but it feels like heavyweights are gonna be hitting each other in that ring. So I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below, and we're gonna be back at it. We got more fights to talk about as well coming up. Obviously, Tyson Fury's gonna be fighting in December. I think the first week of December. So we're gonna talk about that. Anthony Yarde. I mean, I don't see it as a huge matchup, but I'm still gonna go over the fight. And that's it for now. So I'll let y'all on the next one. Peace.